Hello and welcome to the Hybrid and Online Classes Delivery Techniques course. My name is Elias Mareb.
And my name is Charles Pluta. In this module, we'll talk about the things to avoid during a hybrid delivery.
If one thing is certain is that hybrid deliveries are different than your face-to-face deliveries. And there are a lot of extra considerations we should always keep in mind. Not only things that we should do differently, but also things we should avoid.
Let's face it, we should start by saying that it's extremely easy to forget about the remote audience. You're going to be there in the room with people in front of you, and sometimes you might simply forget that there's people on the phone or on a webcast listening to you. You should try to do your best to keep extra attention and always check with them to see how they're doing.
And Charles, let's not forget that the same goes to face-to-face audiences. Let me give you an example. One of your remote students experiencing a problem. He reaches out, you sit down in front of your computer, and suddenly you could have spent quite a long time just there, while the audience that is in the classroom is doing literally nothing.
You're certainly right, Elias. As always, I think we can agree that the key here is balance.
Now, let's talk about the audio. There are a lot of things that you can do to avoid having bad audio, and personally, I think it all starts with the type of microphone you decide to use.
So, Elias, how do I know what type of microphone the training facility is going to have available for me?
So, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this. Personally, I think that owning your own microphone is as important as owning your own laptop. It's a tool. These hybrid deliveries where you're moving around and walking a room, you need to go wireless. So let's break it down. The way I see it actually, you have three possible types of microphones. Handheld, you should be avoiding this because obviously you need to be holding it all the times. These are horrible when the time comes to sit down and do a demo. Then you have the lavalier microphones. These are great because they allow you to have the freedom of movement. But the biggest disadvantage is that you need to be conscious of your breathing. Otherwise, you can end up breathing into the microphone a lot. And last are my personal favorite, which are the headset or earset microphones. These are great because the microphone will be either in front of your mouth or in your cheek, just like a traditional Bluetooth headset. They will give you a great freedom of movement, just like a lavalier, but without the breathing into the microphone issue.
That's right. The microphone is a huge piece of the equation, but you'll also need to have the proper mic techniques. Just as you said, you need to avoid breathing into the microphone, and you need to be conscious of your pitch and your volume. You'll also have to consider your voice projection. A recommendation is to practice recording yourself and play it back. Elias, what's another thing that you should avoid during a hybrid delivery?
Time management is key to the success of your delivery. You want to make sure that you tailor your presentation and content appropriately for your audiences.
One tip is to use a silent timer. This could be as simple as an app that you're running on your computer, or you could use a type of presentation clicker when you have a screen with a timer, and then the clicker will vibrate 5 minutes before the time limit, and then when the allotted time is up. You could also use something like a smartwatch or even your phone and run the built-in timer apps.
In that same sense, you want to pay extra attention to never starting late. Make sure you start on time in the morning and that you have connected in the remote audience as well.
The same goes for midday and lunch breaks. It's easy to drag on-site students back into the room, but unfortunately, you can't really do that with your remote students. You should emphasize how long the break is going to be. Just say, let's get back in 10 minutes, and invite everyone to start a timer. We don't recommend calling the actual time because you could have students from different time zones and lead to someone being confused. Always remember to check with remote students after returning from a break.
Another key aspect for proper time management is to welcome questions, but don't let the questions rule the content. Try to keep focus on the planned content and be mindful of the rest of the participants.
You can say the same thing for storytelling. Telling stories to convey content is great, but you should always stay on topic.
And should be aware that someone is always going to ask you a question that you're already planning on covering on another slide. Don't be rude, but let them know that it will be covered later on the course.
Those are definitely all good things to avoid when you're presenting. Thanks for watching this video, and we hope that you enjoy the other videos in this course.